It is my pleasure to introduce Rohit Kapoor. He's the chairman and CEO of EXL Service Holdings. And Rohit, please join me. And after Rohit's presentation, Diane Brady from Fortune is going to be joining us for a one-on-one conversation. So, Rohit, the stage is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rohit Kapoor. I'm the founder, chairman, and CEO of EXL. It's great to be here with all of you this morning. So the previous speaker, Amit, asked, how many of you know TCS? How many of you know the next three syllables, EXL? Only a few. Only Diane. Do your homework. All right. So let me tell you a little bit about us. We are a small company that's trying to make big waves in the marketplace and do big things. We are very well recognized by the customers we work with and the employees who work for EXL. And our investors are getting to know us a little bit as well. So I'd love for you to kind of get to know us a little bit as we go along out here. Oops, takes 3 slides to get to who we are. So the way we think about our business is really in 2 buckets. Bucket number 1 is what we would call as digital operations management. This is where we are running operations on behalf of our clients, and we are infusing a lot of intelligence, automation, and digitization into that operation so that that operation can be run much more efficiently, it can be much more effective, and it can be much more seamless. The second part of our business is all about data, analytics, and AI. And for us, these 2 businesses are roughly in equal parts. The good thing about our business model is as we continue to progress, we can do work for our clients on a standalone basis, helping them manage their data, build better predictive models, and use analytics, embed a lot of AI into their workflow, and do that on a standalone basis for them. Or we can take all of that capability and embed that into that operation so that their business models become much smarter and much better. In terms of size and scale, we are about $1.8 billion of revenue, 57,000 employees globally situated. We operate in 12 different countries across the globe, and we specialize in working with clients in a few industry verticals. So we're very sharply focused on a few industry verticals. Insurance is by far our largest industry vertical, but we also have deep strength and presence in banking as well as in healthcare. And between these 3, that would make up about 80% of our business. Geographically, the US is the dominant part of our business portfolio. About 80% of our revenues come in from the US. And we have about 20% of our business in UK, Europe, and Australia, New Zealand. And we are focused on diversifying our revenue base and building up our revenues there as well. The key thing is most of the Fortune 1000 clients end up working for us in each of these spaces because what they find is we are specialists that can drive huge amount of value for them as they think about running their business models and transforming their business models. So that's who we are. Now, when we founded EXL, we said we must have a purpose as to why we exist, as to why should these 57,000 people come and work for EXL, why should they even care? And our purpose is a very simple statement. Our purpose is there is always a better way. There is always a better way. So you can keep becoming better and better and better and better. And our job is to find that better way and make it happen. So that's why we exist, which is looking at what is that better way, how can we find it, and how can we make it happen. And we think about this in terms of the better way, really in two dimensions. One is execution. So how can we execute better and better and better? And the second is innovation. And how can we add more capability in a better way that can be applied in a much better way? So those are the two dimensions in which we think about there always being a better way. What that has done is it's resulted in us focusing in terms of building up our business and executing really, really strongly. So if you take a look at the last 5 years, which includes the period of COVID, we were able to grow our revenues at a very healthy pace of 13%. And we grew our profits a lot faster than that. And in fact, even during the year of COVID, we were able to increase our profits during that year. If you exclude the COVID year of 2020, our growth rate is 19%. This is right at the top of the industry. So we are an industry-leading growth rate company, and our mission and goal is always to be able to grow our profits faster than our revenue. And the only way in which you can do that on a sustainable basis is if you keep evolving your business model. Because if your business model is static, you can grow your profits faster than revenue for 1 year, 3 years, maybe 5 years. But to be able to do it into perpetuity, you necessarily have to evolve your business model, adding greater and greater value to your clients so that you can continue to keep that equilibrium constant. So that's what we focus in on. What this has resulted in is one key metric that we monitor very closely, which is the return on invested capital. And we've been able to deliberately and proactively drive this metric up really into an industry-leading metric as such. And you all know this, that this doesn't happen on its own. It happens by, strong discipline, great execution, investing in, capabilities that are going to be forward-looking, and building up and positioning the company so that we can be a relevant company for our clients on a forward basis, not on a historic basis, and scaling up the organization with very disciplined capital management. And so we've been great custodians of capital, and we're very proud of what we've been able to build in terms of our business out here. Now, the question often gets asked, do you drive sustainability or do you drive business growth? And are the two really complementary, or are they going to lead to a divergence of objectives and outcomes? Our entire approach on this is it has to be driven systematically and holistically. We believe that if you focus in on the right elements of your growth, you'd be able to create sustainable growth momentum. And so in everything that we do, we make sure that every single one of the sustainability principles are built in, and they are built in as a helper and an enabler to our business strategy. So our sustainability goals are not de-linked from our strategy. In fact, they are part of our strategy, and they build on how our strategy is going to be executed upon. So we use that as a very, very powerful differentiator in the marketplace, and that's what's given us a huge advantage in terms of building up our business in a sustainable and responsible way. The biggest element for us is all around talent and people. And out there, it's the diversity of talent, it's the skill set of talent, and it's the ability to take our talent along with us as we evolve our business models. Many times you will find companies have a talent pool with them, they evolve their business model, and they'll jettison the old skilled talent out and bring in new talent from the outside. Our goal is to take our people along with us as we evolve, So this becomes a very, very rewarding career opportunity for our employees. And the diversity is no surprise, is the best way to create innovation, because diversity of thought is really, really helpful in terms of creating that innovation. And then, having an impact on our communities makes this all very synergistic, because it allows us to be able to recruit from our communities in which we operate. It allows our employees to contribute back to the communities, and it builds up a very, very powerful ecosystem for us to be able to build and grow. Our strategy is very simple. Our strategy is we want to really be the best in terms of understanding our client's business, which is the domain knowledge, and we call that domain. And we want to integrate in that domain knowledge with our expertise on data, as well as our expertise on AI. And we think if you can combine the knowledge of your client's business models along with a strong technical expertise on data and how to embed AI into the workflow, that is a very powerful equation, and that's what our strategy is built on. So for us, we want to be an indispensable strategic partner for our clients, leveraging data and AI and being able to make changes into their business models, whether it is running their analytics practices, whether it is running their operations, or helping them transform their business models. So we're talking about AI and how the world is evolving using AI. Here's our view on how this might play out into the future. Clearly, all of you are familiar with the stack in the middle, which is the foundational models or the LLMs that are being created and the billions of dollars that large companies are investing in creating the most powerful large language models. There's another layer on top, which is all around agentic AI, and this is being built by all the ERP players and all the software players which already have this software embedded in their client organizations, and they're saying, we'll provide you the ability to use AI on top of our systems, and it's going to come as part and parcel of the software that you buy from us. And then finally, you have very specific vertical LLMs, or you have small language LLMs, or you have task-specific LLMs or point solutions that are being created. And obviously, everybody is propagating that their business model is going to succeed in the long term. If you talk to the proponents of LLMs, they're going to tell you, you don't really need to invest in AI. We'll take care of everything for you, because the LLM of the future is going to be so powerful and so easily deployable that we'll give everything to you in a box. Just unbox it and use it, and you'll be done. Our viewpoint is a little bit different. Our viewpoint is, in the future, every single workflow will have AI embedded into it, and that's the only real way of creating value. So there are two things that are important as we kind of move along. One, what we've noticed is you need to work at the bookends. On the left-hand side, you need to work in terms of helping our clients manage their data so that they can store their data, access that data, cleanse that data, and make the data available. The biggest obstacle, as you all know, in terms of using AI is that the data estate is not in order. And unless and until you have the data estate in order, which means structured and unstructured data, which means multimodal data, and having all of that in place, you really can't even talk about AI. So there's a huge amount of work that needs to be done in terms of getting that data estate in order. And the other end of the bookend is AI by itself does not create value. AI embedded into the workflow and being used as you go along creates value. And therefore, how do you embed that into the workflow and be able to take advantage of it. Everybody focuses in on what's my accuracy score or what's my reliability score of the LLM. I think that's really important. But there are two other vectors which are equally important. One is latency. If you're embedding AI into the workflow and you're on a call and the LLM takes 10 seconds to give you a response back, your ability to have an interaction with a customer is going to be very disjointed, and it's of no use. So latency is really, really critical alongside with that accuracy. And the third thing is cost. The big issue in terms of deployment of AI is it can get you the functionality, but the latency is not very good, and the cost is very high. So how do you get adoption rates in the workflow if you don't have these three vectors in place? And our goal is we will help orchestrate this for our clients so that not only is the accuracy high, but the latency is low and the cost is low. And when you have that trifecta combination of accuracy, latency, and cost, AI can become deployable into the workflow. So that's how we think about it. We started to invest in responsible AI much before generative AI came in. We were already doing a lot of work for our clients around data analytics, and we were using machine learning and AI, and we felt even at that point of time that you had to have a governance framework for responsible AI. Everybody's spoken about the different elements of this. The key thing is, can you create the right kind of guardrails and the governance structure so that you can use AI, which needs to be decentralized? By the way, 57,000 employees at EXL need to be able to use AI. So you need to have a framework in place that's robust enough for any one of those 57,000 employees to be able to use AI. And so building that up. I just came back from a business trip to Australia last week, and I was meeting with one of the leading banks out there. The very first thing that they did is to create this environment and create these guardrails so that every single employee of that bank can use AI. And that's a foundational capability that needs to kind of be built. Talent. I just want to take a minute on talent. We spoke about, the skill set, the diversity, but this element of being able to take your talent along with you is really, really important. We believe that going forward into the future, there'll be two types of workforce. One that's going to work on AI. And the folks that are going to work on AI are the ones that are going to be doing all the engineering, design, and the stitching together, and they'll be technologically proficient in the use of AI. But a second, much bigger category is going to be those that work with AI. And you've got to be comfortable working with AI, because most of us feel threatened by AI. We don't know what it is. We don't know how it works. We don't know what the impact would there be. We think it might eliminate our job. We think it might be a threat. And making people comfortable using AI, that's another very, very important element that we want to work on. So working on AI and working with AI and focusing on both of these buckets is going to be really critical. We have a fair amount of engagement with our communities. We do this in multiple different ways. And I think the biggest thing for us, which we are proud of, is the volunteering and employee engagement that we have within our team. That metric for us continues to increase. We've just announced paid time off to our employees so that they can volunteer and actually help out their communities. And this is something which is working really, really well. We work in some of the more challenged economies. So we work in India, we work in South Africa, Philippines, Colombia, And in these geographies, being able to invest in the talent pool becomes really, really critical. There's a number of awards that we won out here, but that's not enough. I think we need to continue to drive this. So I'd like to close by saying our business model is fairly simple. We want to be able to achieve double-digit growth of revenue on a sustainable basis. We want to be able to maintain our profitability metric, and we always, always want to be able to grow our profits faster than our revenue. And that's the one guiding principle for us, which is grow our EPS faster than our revenue. What that results in is a business model that continuously evolves. If you take a look at our company, we started 25 years ago. We started out at the height of the dot-com boom days. And at that point of time, our job was supposed to be doing a very simple task of helping our clients manage their email process. Today, it is about helping and leveraging our clients, leverage AI, and embed AI into the workflow and make that real. So that business model continues to evolve. We think we are well positioned with this play of domain, data, and AI. I spoke to you about our talent pool. It is the most important and valuable asset that we have in the company, and we have a tremendous amount of focus on that, and we want to be able to create a sustainable pathway in terms of our growth and our ability to deliver value. Thank you so much for listening to me.
Thank you, Rohit. And Diane is going to join Rohit now for a quick conversation.
I like it. We just got four.
You did.
This is, we're getting time added to the clock here, so this is very exciting. First of all, thank you very much. That was a great presentation, and we'll be talking about AI, sustainability, purpose. First, I have to commend CECP for having liquid death as one of the things up here, which is very clarifying for us because we're only here for a short time, of course. Before we start, Rohit, I want to actually just ask the audience questions because you raised some terms that I think we're in a safe space. You know, CECP is all about, of course, measurable returns on purpose. I want a show of hands as to who thinks it's going to be easier in the next 4 years to talk about sustainability. Raise your hand. Easier than it is currently. Okay. Who thinks it'll be easier to talk about purpose? Okay, there's a few more hands. I think of when we think about E, S, and G, I can't think of three industries that align more with that than insurance, healthcare, and finance, which is really the sweet spot for what you do. You have all this rich data. Let me start, and you may not know this, but Rohit was a competitive squash player. Is that right? When I was trolling you. And he said the secret to his success was being able to serve better than anybody else. You just kind of beat them before they start to... So let's give advice to this group first, because you get into rooms we don't get to go. How should we be talking about, let's start with purpose. Because this is a room where you can talk about purpose. When you go out to other realms, do you frame it in the same way, diversity, et cetera? Or how do you think in the next 4 years we should be talking about these issues that we know are good for business, but don't always resonate with investors?
Look, I think purpose is very, very important. And being a founder and having seen the company evolve over the last 25 years, the only thing that has remained constant for us is our purpose. Our purpose was exactly the same on the first day, which is our belief in there being always a better way. And that's exactly what stays true for us today. Diane, you asked the question as to how many people think purpose is going to be important going forward, and a few people...
talking about it. I think everybody in this room believes in purpose. I think it's the talking about it to internally, externally, et cetera.
Yeah. I think, frankly, with all of the change taking place with AI, AI is a massive shift that is taking place. And it's not only massive in terms of size and impact, but the change is actually happening across multiple dimensions on infrastructure, on software, on cloud, on different ways of using AI, and it's being perpetuated across multiple dimensions. So in that landscape of so much of change taking place, the one constant has to be purpose, because you have to have a North Star that kind of brings you back. As I go across and I meet with CEOs of our client organizations and think about how they are thinking about deploying their business models, and by the way, many of them are insurance companies and healthcare companies and banks which have had legacy kind of technology, legacy kind of a status.
They also think about risk and equity and governance.
Yeah,
and
their business models are changing dramatically. And the ones which are successful are the ones which are staying true to their purpose. And they have that belief in terms of their purpose, and they try and evolve around that. And that's really, really important as we go across. So I think going forward, it's going to be probably more important than less important.
Well, I think the whole conversation around ethical AI actually gets us back to talking about these issues in a different way, like diversity. But let's go to sustainability a second. And I want you mentioned it. Define it for me, what you mean by sustainability in the context of EXL and how your clients think about it. Are you thinking about just the continuation of the business, growing the business, or are you thinking about it also in the bucket of being sustainable from, frankly, lower carbon footprint, et cetera?
Yeah, so for us, it's a much more of a holistic approach. It's much more about how can EXL be a responsible global citizen. We work with clients on a global basis.
Six continents, right?
Six
Not
continents.
Antarctica. Not Antarctica.
And which are large companies which have been there for a number of years. So it's about how can we do this in a much more holistic way. And the only way in which we think it works is if your sustainability program is directly in sync with your strategy and with your ability to generate financial returns that you have as your target objective. So for us, every single program that we undertake on the sustainability side is linked to our strategy, and it is measured in objective financial terms so that it is furthering our strategy as we go along.
So can I talk about data? Because you have access to a lot of rich data in what you're doing. And I want to talk a little bit about AI and what's being done with that data. Because right now I've seen a lot of examples of people using it for productivity gains, efficiency. You actually talked about business model transformation. Can you give us some examples of how your clients or even yourself, what the next 12 to 18 months is going to look like in terms of actual use cases for AI that you'd put on the radar for this audience? Because I feel like we talk about it at the 30,000-foot level. Bring us down to the ground and give us some examples of what's now possible and will be possible.
So take a very simple example of the insurance industry where you have an underwriter who has to underwrite insurance risk. In the past, that insurance underwriter needed to have 25 or 30 years of experience to be an expert in their field and to be able to assess risk correctly and price for that risk correctly. Today, with AI and with all the data that we have where we've trained these AI models, when we provide that AI to a new underwriter fresh off the block, their ability to get to proficiency is so much quicker and so much faster. So there is a very, very discernible kind of an impact and change that can happen if you can provide the data elements and you can provide the insight to the individual, because you're literally guiding that individual as well as an expert might be guiding that decision-making process. The time to take that decision collapses from a few months to a couple of days. The accuracy of that decision improves very significantly. And therefore, you no longer need to wait for 30 years to have that relevant experience and have that skill set in place for taking that decision. Another example is conversational AI and how the customer experience gets enhanced. Our viewpoint is in the future, Most of the work will be self-serve, so you don't really need to talk to anybody or deal or interact with anybody.
Kind of sad.
It's true, but if you poll particularly the millennials,
Yeah.
they want it to be self-serve and they want it to be something that they
Yeah.
can manage on their own. The second level would be that you basically have an automated agent that you can kind of interact with. And the third level is going to be you're going to talk to a human, but that human is going to be assisted and powered with AI and going to be provided all of the competencies with AI. So you'll eventually be able to kind of navigate your way in terms of which channel kind of is best suited for you.
My biggest fear in insurance is that they'll be able to measure me so well that I'll be uninsurable. That's the fear, right? It's like, not your house, not your life, Diane. But let me, because you're a global player, talk to me a little bit about how the conversation may be different here than in some of the other markets you go to, whether it's around the technology, governance, et cetera. Any thoughts? Because we're here in the US and sometimes we don't get out much in terms of seeing what's happening in the rest of the world.
I think, the fundamentals are broadly the same, but there are different nuances that are there. When we talk to our clients in Europe, their focus on privacy of data is a lot higher, and the sensitivity associated with that is a lot higher. So therefore, permissioning and the usage rights and those things become really, really important, for them. The Australian market is fascinating, and again, I just came back from there last week. Their ability to jump in and to be able to use new tools and technologies is very high. So they embrace new technology and new tools very, very rapidly. But at the same time, they also kind of evolve a little bit gradually. So they'll do a test, but deploying it into the enterprise, they're very careful about that. So, I see that that's something which, they need to kind of work upon. And the only reason for that is that the maturity of their data sets and the maturity of their infrastructure is not as well developed as what you might have, here stateside.
Someone once told me it was the combination of Britain and California. There you go. There's Australia in a nutshell. I know we only have a few more minutes left, but I want to get back again to just the business model of what you're doing. What are you seeing in the data right now that you think is indicating just a change in the business environment? Because you have access to, again, insurance, healthcare. I know from obviously you can't name names, but can you give us some insights as to what you're seeing that's on your radar that you'd put on ours?
So the big aha moment for us is that the amount of fraud, waste, and abuse that happens in the banking world, in the insurance world, and in the healthcare world, that is enormous. And if you can bring that down, actually, it's going to result in lower pricing for customers and a much more efficient cost structure for our clients. So the magnitude of data that is reflecting the inefficiency associated with fraud, waste, and abuse, that's very, very significant. And it's as much as 10% that we would see
across all three of those different buckets?
10% in insurance. In healthcare, a lot more. So it's something which I think you can use AI to bring that down very, very, very effectively.
So basically the benefits far outweigh the risks. Because I know when we talk about AI, we also talk about deep fake earnings calls and things that sometimes could put a bit of fear in the minds of a CEO like yourself.
Yes. Look, I think cybersecurity is going to go into a totally different direction, and deep fakes and things you'll have to kind of work around. Again, we had one of our clients, which is a very interesting bank, and what they've done is anytime you have a call coming in from what you think might be the bank, you can actually go onto the website and validate whether that's a genuine call or not real time.
Yeah.
And so you're going to have different kinds of mechanisms to kind of to deal with that. But I do think AI is going to be used negatively as well. And I think some of the perpetrators will use it to kind of breach cybersecurity protocols.
In the time we have left, I was intrigued by one of the things. When you talk about your employee base, we talk a lot about technology, but a lot of what you're doing is very offline. giving them time, giving them the power to basically pursue their own dreams. You know, talk a little bit about that mix and the importance of that and retention and recruitment.
I think it is absolutely critical. So first off, we give them time to train and to learn. We provide them with the tools, and we pay for their training. And if they get certified, we will incentivize them for getting certified and therefore their ability to earn higher wages. We give them time to work in their communities. We give them time to work on themselves and to reflect upon it. To us, there is nothing more important than our talent pool and our workforce.
I think you have time for a haiku or something in the 35 seconds left. But anything else you'd like to convey before we close up?
No, look, I think this is a great topic to be discussing in terms of sustainability and in terms of business models, particularly at this time of change with AI. It's a fascinating time to be in business, and look forward to how the story unfolds from here.
Great. Thank you very much. Please join me in thanking Rohit Kapoor. Thanks.
Thank you.